If you open Excel and feel lost within the first 10 seconds, this video is for you. Because every professional Excel data analyst started by mastering this screen, Excel like a professional, exactly the way analysts do in real jobs. Before we start, let me say this clearly. You don't need to remember everything today. Excel looked confusing at first. I feel the same when I started. Clarity comes step by step, and today is just step one. Welcome to Data by Tayyaba, where you learn Excel the way data analysts actually use it at work. Everything here is free, structured, and beginner friendly. Follow this beginner level playlist one step by step to build real, practical Excel skills, not just theory. By the end of this video, you all know what each part of Excel does and where to find things, how analysts move around Excel confidently, and how to set up your workspace so Excel feels comfortable, not overwhelming. Let me tell you something important. Imagine it's your first day as a data analyst. Your manager sends you an Excel file and says, create a quick report. If you don't know where tools are, you all feel stuck before the work even begins. That's why today's video matters. The Excel interface is your foundation. Every single feature we all use in future videos lives somewhere in this interface. So today we are building that foundation together. Alright, let's open Excel. When you first open Excel, you all see a start screen with templates and recent files. For now, let's click on Plan Work to start fresh. And here we are. This is the Excel workspace. This is where all the magic happens. I know it looks like a lot, but here's the thing. You don't need to use everything. As an analyst, I use maybe 20% of what you see here, but I use that 20% every single day. So let's break this down piece by piece. The first thing you all notice at the top is this section. We call it the ribbon. The ribbon is basically your toolbox. Everything you all ever need to do in Excel, formatting, formulas, charts, data analysis is organized here in tabs. You don't need to memorize these steps. I just want you to recognize them. Understanding comes later. Let's start with the Home tab. This is where all spend most of your time in the beginning. Notice how it's divided into groups: clipboard, found, alignment, number, style, self, and editing. As an analyst, I use this tab constantly for things like copy and pasting data cleanly, formatting numbers like turning raw numbers into currency or percentages, and quickly sorting or filtering data. You don't need to memorize what's each group right now. Just know that the Home tab is your everyday workspace. Next is the Insert tab. This is where you add things to your worksheet. From an analyst point of view, this matters because this is where we insert table, which makes data analysis much easier. Chart and graphs for visualizing trends. Pivot table, which we all cover in details later. In real job, managers love visuals. You all use this tab often. Now, this one is important, the Formula tab. This is where Excel keeps its calculation power. You all see categories like financial, logical, tax, date and time, lookup, and reference. Let me explain why this matters later. When we learn formulas like VLOOKUP, if statement, or SUMIF, this tab helps you find and insert them properly. As an analyst, I prefer typing formulas directly. But this tab is super helpful when you are learning or need to explore what's available. The Data tab, and this is used for analysts. This is where all your data analysis tools live. Sort and filter, organizing data instantly. Text to column, splitting data smartly. Remove duplicate, cleaning messy data sets. Data validation, controlling what users can enter. And eventually, get and transform data, which is Power Query. In real jobs, this tab is used constantly. You all see why as we progress. If you remember only one tab from today, make it the Data tab. Everything else supported. Page layout and review tab are mostly for printing and calibration. As beginners, just be aware that they exist. We all focus more on them only when needed. And finally, the View tab. This controls how you see your worksheet, zoom level, create lines, Freezing pants so header stay visible when you scroll. Freezing pants is actually a lifesaver when working with large data sets. We all covered that in our future videos. One more thing about the ribbon. Sometimes new tabs appear based on what you are working on. These are called contextual tabs. See, when I click this chart, a new chart design and format tab appears. When I click away, it disappears. Excel is smart like that. It only shows you tools when you need them. Now, look at the very top left corner. This small area is the quick access toolbar. This is your personal shortcut bar. You can add commands you use all the time, like save, undo, redo. Let me show you how to customize it. Right click on quick access toolbar, customize quick access toolbar. You can add anything here. I like adding quick print because I use it often. As you grow as an analyst, you all personalize this based on your workflow. One last quick tip before we move on. If Excel ever looks different, it's usually because the ribbon is either collapsed or hidden. If the tabs are visible but the ribbon disappears when you open the workbook, it means the ribbon is collapsed. To collapse or expand it, click any tab or press Ctrl plus F1. This gives you more screen space, especially with large data sets. But if the ribbon disappears completely and you only see three dots, Excel is in full screen or auto hide mode. That's why ribbon appears and disappear again when click inside the sheet. To fix this, click the arrow on the right side of the screen, then choose Always Show Ribbon. Now the ribbon stays open. Remember, collapsed ribbon tabs stay visible. Hidden ribbon, Excel is in full screen mode. Once you know this, Excel feels much easier to control. Alright, now let's talk about the actual workspace, the area where your data lives. On the left, just below the ribbon, you all see this box. It's called the name box. It says A1. That's because I'm clicked on cell A1, which is column A, row 1. What happens when I click different cell? The name box updates to show me exactly where I am. From an analyst point of view, this is useful because you can type a cell address here to jump directly to it, or you can name range of data, for example, calling a list sales data instead of remembering A3 to D100. We all explore name ranges later, but just know this box is more powerful than it looks. Right next to the name box is the formula bar. Whatever you type in a cell appears here, but this bar is especially important when you are working with formulas. See, in the cell, you see the result 100, but in the formula bar, you see the actual formula is equal 50 multiplied by 2. This is where most beginners get confused, and that's okay. Just remember, cells show results. The formula bar shows what actually inside the cell. As we get into formulas, you all live in this bar. Now the grade itself. These letters at the top A, B, E, D are columns header. Excel has columns from A to XFD. That's over 16,000 columns. Trust me, you will not need all of them. These numbers on the left, 1, 2, 3, are raw numbers. Excel goes up to raw 1,48,576. Again, more than you all ever need. When a column and row intersect, you get a cell, the basic building block of Excel. Every piece of data sits in a cell. The cell I am clicked on the right now has a thick green border. This is called the active cell. Whatever you type goes up here. At the very bottom, you all see Sheet tab. By default, you start with Sheet 1. Think of sheets like pages in a notebook. You can have multiple sheets in one workbook. One for raw data, one for analysis, one for chart. Right-click on Sheet tab. Insert. You can add more sheets, delete them, rename them, or even color code them for organization. In real projects, organized sheet names make a huge difference, especially when sharing files with the team. On the right and bottom, you have scroll bars. These let you move through large data sets. Simple but essential when you are working with thousands of rows. If this is already making more sense than before, that's your signal you are learning correctly. Now that you understand where everything is, let me open a simple sample file, something that looks like real workplace data. I have added a sample practice file to the description, which you can keep open while watching. Look at the very bottom of your Excel window. This is the status bar. Most people ignore this, but analysts love it. Here's why. When you selected multiple cells with numbers, the status bar automatically shows the average, count, and sum without needing any formula. See, selected 4 cells and Excel instantly tell me 587.5, average, count 4, sum 2350. This is perfect for quick checks without cluttering your worksheet with formulas. And you can customize what shows here. You can add things like maximum, minimum, or even see which mode you are in. I usually keep it simple, but it's nice to know you have controls. On the right side of the status bar, you have view button. Normal view. This is the default that we have been using. Page layout view shows how it all looks if printed. Page break preview, helpful for controlling what prints on each page. And next to that, the zoom slider. This does not change your data, just how you see it. Super useful when presenting or analyzing tiny details. Finally, let's talk about the file menu, also called backspace view. This is where you do file level actions, things that affect the entire workbook, not just the data. New, open a new workbook, open browser for exiting files, save, update your current file, save as, lets you save with a new name or location. Pro tip, always save as when working with original data. Never override the source file until you are 100% sure. Print, preview, and print your work. You can control margin, orientation, page size. And one of the most important options. This is where you customize Excel behavior, journal, formulas, data, proofing, save, language, and more. We will not dive into this now, but as you grow, you all personalize Excel through this menu. If you remember only 4 things from today, remember this: data tab, where analysis happen; formula bar, where logic lives; status bar, for quick checks; name box, for navigation. These tools are analysts use daily. At this point, you should be able to open Excel and recognize the main areas, understand what the ribbon tabs do, know where your data lives in cells, organized in rows and columns, navigate using the name box and scroll bar. If you don't do all of this perfectly yet, that's completely okay. Familiarity comes with practice, not memorization. Why did we spend all this time on the interface? Because with just this knowledge, knowing where things are and how to navigate, this is your launchpad. Every formula, every chart, every analysis we do in future videos starts right here in this interface. Let me remind you of something important. This is one building block of becoming a professional Excel data analyst. Right now, you know the workspace. In the next videos, we all start entering data, using formulas, building tables, creating charts, and we all slowly connect everything together. Learning Excel is not a race, it's a journey. And every professional analyst started exactly where you are now, understanding the basics first. If today felt like a lot, that's okay. Just come back, rewatch sections, and move forward when you are ready. Remember, Excel is not about formulas. It's about data analysis, analytics, and thinking like a professional Excel data analyst clearly. I will see you in the next lesson of your data journey.